everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today I'm going to be getting into the 9 things I hate about the Blackberry KeyONE. So the Blackberry KeyONE is a good phone, but no phone is perfect. All phones have their flaws, and the Blackberry KeyONE is no different. So getting into it, the Blackberry KeyONE, I've been using it for about 2 weeks now, and it's been a good phone. I've really enjoyed my time with it. But this phone isn't for me, as it won't be for a lot of people. Me as a personal user, I use my phone mostly for social media, for YouTube, for content consumption, and this phone really doesn't cut it for that. But I'm still giving this an unbiased review, completely devoid of the fact that it doesn't suit my needs, because this is such an interesting phone, and it's done a very good job, I feel, over the past couple of days that I've used it. It's really made me rethink, the fact that BlackBerry dying was a bad thing, because I always didn't care. I always thought BlackBerry was too dumb and idiotical for not jumping onto the Android boat a long time ago, and I really didn't care that they did so horribly, because I felt they deserved it for not joining the Android boat. However, BlackBerry has been making a couple of Android devices over the past couple of years. They started off with the Passport, I believe. Then they moved on to the Priv. Then it's this one. But what I've seen is they've consistently tried to do something new. Unlike a lot of other smartphone manufacturers, they've tried newer designs. They've tried to make things interesting. But their previous devices had a lot of quality issues, in my opinion. They didn't do very well, but I felt like the KeyONE was the first phone to really beat that. Regardless, the KeyONE has some flaws, and I'm going to get right into it. So number 1, the backlight. The backlight on the keyboard is uneven, and it bugs me. So right now, you can't see the light like this right now, so I'm going to insert a clip here so you can see what the light looks like. But what really bugs me is that if you look closely, the entire keyboard on the left and right sides, and even the top, is pretty evenly lit. But the bottom few keys, the V, the B, the symbol, and this kind of the 0 button, they're all unevenly lit. They look a lot darker than the rest of the keyboard. And initially I thought this was just my phone. But then I looked at some other reviewers' videos as well to kind of see if this was just me or if it was kind of an issue with the phone itself. And sadly, it is an issue with most phones that I saw. And this is very disappointing to me, because if there's already kind of uneven backlight right now when the phone is brand new, I'm not sure how it's going to play out as time goes on, as a year or 2 years passes by. So that's something I really think BlackBerry should have looked into, especially since it's such a big selling point of their phone. That's something that I would have looked into. Number 2, I absolutely hate that there's no dedicated period button on this phone. So if you look here, we get a dedicated symbol button, we get 2 shift keys, but they couldn't add a period key that was dedicated. It's mixed in with the M. So many times, I'm telling you, I've not hit period properly, or I have hit the M because I forgot to hit the Alt button, and stuff like this. And a period is a very important part of grammar. It's not like you don't use it as much. I mean, you use it after every sentence. And for a phone that's meant to be something that you use to write emails on and type long messages on, that sounds like a dumb oversight. And what bugs me more is that they have space in the bottom row to include the key very comfortably, but they still chose to not do that. So the next thing that bugs me is the phone kind of feels top heavy because of the way you have to hold the phone. So while the phone is it is evenly weighted if you hold it in the center, like you do with most phones nowadays. Because if you look at most phones, what you do is you hold them in the center, have your pinky rest under it, and just use it with your thumb. This phone is a bit different. So if you look in this phone here, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to have both of your hands at the bottom and use it with your thumbs. So both of your hands are at the bottom of the phone. So what happens is the phone starts to feel top heavy. It feels like just a small tap on the top would kind of make it slip out of your hand. And that really bugs me. But as time went on, I felt a little bit more confident and okay with this. But I still felt that it's something that people should understand and know. before getting this phone. So number 4, this is a little bit nitpicky, but I really don't understand why BlackBerry did this when the rest of their software experience is actually pretty good. So if you open the app drawer, you can see that not only do we have the apps here, we have a separate page for widgets and shortcuts, which is absolutely pointless to me because these are something that we barely use on a daily basis, especially me. I set up the phone once and I really don't change my widgets and shortcuts at all. And to have these shortcuts and widget keys up here really makes no sense, especially since it kind of interferes with when I'm trying to roll on my apps or look at them quickly. And even when you search for them, they kind of search for these widgets and shortcuts, which isn't necessary. I want my app drawer to be my app drawer, and you should have done something like integrated it elsewhere. So number 5, this is an issue I had the first couple of days I had this phone. After that, I really didn't have this issue as much, but I still feel it's important to let you guys know. But there was some lagginess in the UI. So when I tried to open certain apps or certain pages, what would happen was there was kind of a little bit of lagginess. It would drop frames, and it would really look a bit annoying to me, especially since this phone is supposed to be I understand this isn't going to be a powerhouse. It's not a flagship phone. It doesn't have flagship specs, but I still expect it to do basic tasks and have a couple of apps open without it being a big issue, which this phone doesn't do. But despite that, I've been using it for a couple of days, and it slowly started to fade away. Maybe it was just something that took time, but I haven't felt it yet, again, after a couple of days. But I'm going to try to see if I can replicate the issue again, but I don't think I will be for a time being. The thing I hate the most about this phone is number 6. Personally, I hate the fact that the power button is located on the left side of the phone. Almost every other smartphone manufacturer has the power button on the right. Generally, the volume button is on both left and right sides, and I've been okay with that. I've gotten used to it. But the power button is something that I'm always used to being on the other side of the phone. And I still hit this dedicated BlackBerry button, and I hit the volume low button, volume high button, instead of hitting the power button, because I always feel like that's where it's supposed to be. Not to mention my other phones all have them on the right side, so I have a little bit of muscle memory going there. But still, it's kind of disappointing to see the fact that BlackBerry didn't think this through, especially since it's kind of something I would have imagined they would have gone through. Moving on. So number 7, less than 24 hours into using the phone started to become really laggy. As I told you, the first couple of days I used it, the phone was laggy, but I had more issues than that. The phone completely started going mad. It got stuck on a few pages. The app switcher button would completely stop working, and I'd have to restart it to get it to work again. And that's weird because the home button and the back button were working absolutely fine. There was vibration feedback and everything, but the app switcher button, there was no vibration feedback, no action on pressing it even a couple of times. The only solution that fixed it was a restart. But again, this issue really only happened when the phone was new. 3-4 days into using the phone, that issue completely disappeared, and I haven't faced it since in the last couple of days. Number 8. The phone does not seem to have good cell phone reception service. The fact I tell you that is because I have constantly seen the phone drop signal, especially considering that I've used the other phones, such as the OnePlus 3T, the Galaxy S8, in similar locations as I've used this phone, and they've never had an issue with signal dropping. So there's a particular area where I go to a lot, and that place is known to have a weak signal. But regardless, there's this one provider that gives good service in that area. Now, no other phone has really had this issue, but the BlackBerry, what happens is when I go into that area, it does work. I do get connectivity, but say I don't use it for an hour or hour and a half, the signal just drops completely and it goes into kind of no service mode. I have to plug it into airplane mode, cycle it a few times before I get my signal back, which is really annoying considering that no other phone has kind of done this to me. And number 9, the final thing I hate about this phone. So the most annoying part of this phone to me, not the most, but it is definitely a pretty big annoyance factor is the Alt key. This Alt key is where generally you expect the Shift key to be. And the Shift key is where you suppose the Alt key to be. So on so many occasions, when I'm trying to type quickly, I want to capitalize a word, muscle memory takes me to the ones that is the closest. So generally it's next to Z, and in this case, the Alt key is here, not the Shift key. So what happens is, instead of capitalizing something, I make it into a symbol, which is super annoying. The Shift key down here, I don't understand why they didn't shift these, because that's where it's on every keyboard. So thank you guys for sticking with me through this kind of a rant kind of video. I don't want this video to come off as a complete rant. It's not. This is a really good phone. I've really enjoyed using it. And a lot of people have given me really positive comments on seeing the phone and kind of having it in their hands for a couple of minutes. And I don't want you to think this is a completely bad phone. Check out my other video where I kind of explain the really good things about the phone. But as I said in the beginning of the video, no phone is perfect. So I had to point out these flaws. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. If you like this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I have a lot more content coming like this. Also, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. I love getting to chat with you guys. I love giving you my thoughts. I love getting into some discussion. So, please leave a comment down below if you feel like it. Thank you so much, guys. Have an excellent day. I'll see you soon.